Hello, Miss Veronica. How are you?
Hello, I'm wonderful. Thank you. How are you?
Good. You look so pretty.
Thank you, as do you.
Thank you. And hello, my little boy, Erik.
Hello, mother. He's very formal.
Mother. Oh, wow.
He says
Okay,
it with an
that must mean he's in trouble.
mother.
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 Okay, by popular request, even though my list is sort of closed off because I have almost 400 people, I'm going to go ahead and let Anthony Bourdain kind of jump in there and see if we can find out more about him, his life, and maybe lessons we can learn from him. So, Erik, can you go get Mr. Bourdain?
Eric's doing this. It's like he's one of my people, he said.
Oh, good. I don't know very much about him. I know he did something on the Food Channel, but...
Yes. So he's going, and I just want to tell you, Eric's very casual today. He's actually not wearing any shoes. He's got like a darker colored t-shirt on, and he's got a pair of jeans on. So
okay.
Very casual.
All right.
And actually, as Mr. Bourdain, Tony, he says.
Oh, okay.
As Tony comes in the room, Tony is very casual too. Tony looks very scruffy. Mm-hmm. He's got a pair of blue jeans on, lower on his waist. Mm-hmm. And actually, he's not wearing any shoes either, and he's got a gray t-shirt on.
Okay, well, they just came dressed for the occasion.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, if you don't mind, can I call you Tony?
Of course.
Okay. I have a lot of questions that blog members have submitted, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get to them all, but let's start out with the ones I always ask everybody. And they start with, what was your spiritual mission in your life as Tony Bourdain?
He says, my spiritual mission was to really show people how they are all the same and how each and every one of us has a common thread that's called humanity, and that each and every one of us is unique in our own way. That was his mission, he said.
I like that.
And he's very, very well spoken.
Oh, were you here you were here to teach that. Were you here to learn anything?
I was here to learn my own resilience, he says. I was here to learn how very much of a survivor I really was. And he goes on to say, I never really had anything early in life to teach me how to survive, because I pretty much had everything. Mm-hmm. He said, until I made choices, he said, to get into a lifestyle that was giving me lessons as I now see them, to be resilient.
Okay. What kind of choices are we talking about?
He's saying he dove deep into the dark world of drugs and drug use.
Okay. Do you feel like you accomplished what you were here to learn?
He says on many levels, yes, I do. He said, but in doing my life review, I can see that there are still areas that need grooming, he's calling it. And he's saying there are areas where I far exceeded. He said, but it doesn't work where one balances out the other. You have to work on one and do it all the way through. Sure. Like you don't get credit for this one over here.
For overachieving in one side, you don't. Okay.
Yeah. He's saying it doesn't work that way.
All right. Well, I'm sure we all have plenty that we'll find out in our life review. What is your biggest regret?
That my little girl will never know me.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's well, you can make yourself known to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's working on that.
Good. When you crossed over, what was your biggest insight?
He's very introspective. He's, kind of like this, and he's looking up, and he's very handsome. That there is a higher power.
Oh, okay. So you really didn't believe that before? Or did you maybe just have an inkling, but this sort of sealed the deal for you?
He's saying he didn't believe in anything. He just thought when you
Okay.
died, you died. He didn't believe
Oh,
in any higher power at all.
okay. All right. Well, I bet that was a pleasant surprise.
He's saying it was certainly met with much appreciation.
That's funny. That's a funny way to say it. So,
Yes.
describe your transition. Did you like see a white light and all that kind of stuff, or go in a white room, or what?
He's saying it was a very simple transition in the sense that it literally, to him, felt like a dream that he's had many times.
Oh,
A very simple transition. Literally, there was no projection of white light, he's saying. It wasn't anything mammoth. It was kind of just like a whoosh kind of thing. And he was, I believe what he's saying, I'm hearing he was met by a paternal figure in his
okay.
life, a paternal energy. So I don't know if it was father or grandfather. Oh, he's saying grandfather. He was met
Okay.
by grandfather energy.
Okay.
So it was familiar in that sense. But it's interesting because I hear him saying this was like a dream. It was kind of like he's dreamt this before. Is that what I'm hearing, Tony? He said, yeah. And he's also saying not in a macabre, weird kind of where dying. He said it was an image that I saw. I could, and when it happened, I was very comfortable because it was familiar to me.
Interesting. Well, that's
Oh,
good.
so I'm wondering, was that like were you like psychic or intuitive? Is that what? He says, well, I guess I was on some level.
Yeah, I guess you were. So, wow, you saw it coming. Huh.
Yeah.
Can you describe a life that you lived in the past or future that most influenced your one is Anthony Bourdain?
He's talking about his life on the fishing boat.
Oh, okay.
He's telling me he lived the life of a longshore fisherman.
Mm.
And he's saying it's funny because the parallel is the fishing boat literally, did this, like on the waves on the water. And he's saying, so did my life as Tony Bourdain.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you had the roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He said one life it was literal. And then he's making a joke about it being stinky, literally.
Oh, stinky fish.
He's got quite the sense of humor.
Oh, that's great.
I'm censoring a lot of it.
Oh no, you don't. You don't have to. Okay, share anything new about yourself that we generally don't know. Please.
I loved fashion, he says.
Oh, okay. Were you good at it? Were you a clothes horse, so to speak?
I was in my own way. He said I wouldn't, you couldn't take me to the Metropolitan Opera, he said, in my dress, although I would go the way I dressed. He dressed for himself and he dressed to be comfortable and he took pride in how he picked out his outfits. But he's saying they're nothing to write home about.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. Okay. Oh, I've got somebody else's interview mixed in with this. All right. What were the failures that you most cherish? I mean, because failures, they're stepping stones to successes. They're opportunities to learn something very valuable.
He's saying actually that would have to be my drug use.
Okay.
He's saying my use of hallucinogenics, of heroin, of alcohol. He said it's interesting because I had an addictive personality but I was addicted to being high, meaning some people might get high from getting a new car, he says, or some people might get high because they cook the ultimate recipe, or they're high because they sit down and they eat food. He said I could never find my high
Outside of
without
drugs?
artificial substance.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
What changed the arc of your life? What made you go down that fork in the road?
He says on some level, I was always on a downward spiral. He said, he wants everybody to know that he gave up drug use a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
He was clean, he says, but he never quite could clear out the fuzz, he's calling it, in his head.
Okay.
And he's talking about, if anybody had a reason to live, it was me, outwardly. I had everything. I was renowned in my field. I had great sense of income. I had great friends. I had my beautiful daughter. He said, but the fuzz in my head, I just couldn't get rid of it.
Well, when did it start? How old were you when things started to go down that downward drift?
He's saying that his mid-20s to his, I'm hearing 40-ish, had artificial substances in him. So he really can't count those years because there was a lot of back and forth. He's saying he was about 50. He's saying I was about 50 when it occurred to me that I might be bipolar. So about 50.
So do you think that maybe starting in your 20s that you were bipolar and just self-medicating? Or was it a past life bleed through? Or, I mean...
No, he's saying there was definitely something in this life. He said he didn't like to process emotions. He knew that very early on, he says. I didn't like the way it felt when I didn't get what I wanted.
Nobody likes that.
He's saying I always got what I wanted, one way or another.
Okay. What would you have liked to have accomplished before your death or attained that you did not?
He's saying from his perspective, he's very happy with what he achieved because of the fact that he united cultures. And what
that's true
is that he would take somebody in this land and introduce them to this land, and not just about each other, but about the blending of each other. And he said one of the things that food was for him was a common ground. People could come together innocently, peacefully, and they could join together over food. And he's talking about how we use food in a safe way, whether we eat to keep us safe, or whether we say, hey, let's go out and grab a bite to eat. We know we're safe with friends. He's saying, so food was a big part of his life and a big part of his mission. And it's no surprise that he united people, he's saying, with the usage of food.
Were you a good cook?
He said, one of the best.
All right. What let's see, what did you like least and most about your childhood?
He's saying I had a great childhood. He's saying I had a childhood of privilege. I had a childhood of culture. I have a childhood of independence and yet structure. freedom. He's saying he had a great childhood. He lived the best of both worlds. You know, he was able to be academic and creative, and it was both fostered and nurtured in him.
Oh, that's great. Was there anything you didn't like about your childhood?
He's saying literally what's not to like.
Okay, awesome. You're so lucky.
He's literally saying, I can't pick any of it apart.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Who most influenced you or was a role model to you? And if, you know, how so?
He's saying Julia Child.
Okay.
He's saying the way that she presented herself, he's saying so confident and so convicted and yet able to laugh and have fun when needed.
And she could laugh at herself too.
She could laugh at herself. And he's saying that was a big example for me not to take myself too seriously. And that's when he began to create his passion for food, he says, because of her influence.
Oh, that is so great. Could you laugh at yourself?
Always, he says.
Oh, always. Good. What advice would you give your younger self?
Life doesn't need to be artificially stimulated.
Well, of course. I felt that was coming. Who were you outside of work when nobody was watching? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Very introspective, very introverted, deeply analytical, and full of wonder and curiosity. I was that person always picking at something, always looking for something, always, you know, going on scavenger hunts and, you know, search for things. I always was curious about everybody's life. He's saying, you might call me nosy.
Well, that's kind of cool because the next question is, what were you most curious about in life?
What makes people tick?
Yeah, that's a complicated one.
He actually went like this, what makes people tick? You know, that's
wow.
What makes
yeah. I don't think we'll ever find out. It's so complicated. The answers are as numerous as there are people, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
All right, what things did you dislike doing? I know processing emotions were obviously is one.
He says, I hated anything that was routine. I hated regimented behavior. I didn't like being in the box. I hated conformity.
Okay.
And I hated repression.
So you don't do windows, I guess, huh?
No.
I figured not. Because I was going to invite you over to do a little, you know, housework here.
No.
All right. What's the most courageous thing that you ever did?
The first thing he said was father a child.
Oh, yeah. That takes courage. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, he's saying and he's when he talks about his daughter, he just glows. He just is glowing, on fire glowing. Oh,
that's sweet. All right, what was your superpower or your animal spirit? Either one.
He's very funny. He says his spirit animal was a warthog, and then he chuckles.
Oh God.
His superpower. What's your superpower? X-ray vision.
No, you don't have it. Do you have X-ray vision?
I'm telling you, he's very fun. He's like, yeah, I'm looking at your boobs now. And of course, Erik is chuckling.
Oh, he likes that too.
Anthony Tony is saying he could be a little risque, and he's saying, I really love the word fuck.
Oh, wow. You and Erik ought to get along really well.
And the exercise fuck.
Oh, okay. It's a verb, a noun, all sorts of stuff. So wait, why is your animal spirit
Oh, a
a warthog?
warthog. He's laughing. He's saying, no, that's not true. It wasn't a
Oh,
warthog.
I figure not.
If he had to pick a spirit animal, he's saying that it would be a python.
Why?
So he likes the girth and the presence of the python.
Okay.
And he likes the fact that the python gets the last word, literally, when it gets a grip on you.
I bet. Ooh.
And he's also saying that there's something about the bigness of the thought of a python. You know, the fact that it just moves so slow and appreciates everything, and yet it just can take life so long to get through it. He's very profound about this, the python.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so really, what is your superpower?
The ability to be chameleon-like.
Okay.
I can blend in anywhere, he says, and I can feel at home in any culture, in any economic setting, in any social setting. I can feel at home. He says, literally, I'm a chameleon. I blend.
Erik, what is your superpower?
And don't make it be about boobs. Erik says his superpower is to hear the rhythm of people's lives, that he can know somebody and just feel the rhythm that they're living at and just kind of march to their beat with them. So in a sense, I'm hearing, you know, he could be chameleon-like too, but he's calling it, he could march to the beat because everybody has their own unique beat. And Erik was able to, he's telling me that he was able to relate to everybody. Everybody.
Even in life, he was able to. Mm-hmm. Okay, what would you say to your fans now, Tony?
Don't be afraid to explore anything that's different. Mm-hmm. In fact, open yourself up to different daily, he's saying. And don't let a single day go by without telling people that you love them.
Yeah.
That's so important, he says. In fact, you know, that's one of his regrets. He's saying, I didn't let anybody know that I loved them before I transitioned.
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, I try to make it a habit to say at least two, at the minimum, two positive things about somebody, whether it's a waitress or a family or a friend. Just, it's so easy.
Yeah.
And I don't even have it on my to-do list. I have that index card with a to-do list, but that's not on it. Bathing it, getting mail, but not that.
He's also sharing that some of the most joyful people that he ever met were the most impoverished people.
Yeah, the ones with the simplest life.
Mm-hmm. They had a very practical existence, and survival was first and foremost to my outward eyes, he said, but to them, joy was their first priority. Taking joy in the fact that they were alive, taking joy in their differences, taking joy in their inheritance of who they were. He said, just met some amazing people who were probably nobody to anybody on the face of the earth, except to the people they knew intimately.
That's amazing. My daughter, Annika, went to do volunteer work in Peru. She said the same thing. They were all so happy. And I think when your life gets complicated and cluttered, then the love is hidden. I mean, it just gets buried in garbage and your busy mind. All right, now I have a mystery guest in mind who is connected to our family. He is a big fan. I can't say his name for some reason, but it is a he. Do you have a message for him? G period, T period. That's all I'll give you.
So you want a message for G period, T period from Anthony. First thing he says is smoke doesn't always mean there's fire.
Okay.
It's okay if it smokes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means, but and the second thing is it's not okay to say no to your passions.
Okay.
I don't know. Does that make sense?
It probably was. I don't, maybe. Oh, is there any connection between your death and Kate Spade's? It happened so close together, and y'all both like fashion. I don't know. I thought I'd ask.
No, he says.
Okay. Somebody wants to ask if you were involved in the Hillary Clinton so-called Pizzagate. I don't even know what that is.
No.
And I guess they wondered if you were, was there any truth to you getting to expose some great personalities to, for their involvement in child trafficking and the sex racket?
No.
What was going through your mind the day that you died? This is blog member questions.
Mm-hmm. He's saying it actually started the day before I died. I began to go down a very dark hole, and before I knew it, I couldn't come out of this hole because I had emotionally put myself under so much garbage that I couldn't see the light. And he's saying that he actually took his life, he's saying, long before they found him. So I'm not sure what that means. He's saying that I was a very private person, and people knew not to bother me when I was alone. And I knew I had that advantage, and I knew I could.
Dog time. Be quiet. Okay, go ahead.
I knew I could, he's saying, I knew I could pull it off in peace. I knew that nobody would be looking for me right away because I liked my privacy.
Was it a contract, a spiritual contract, your death?
He says, absolutely. And Erik is chiming in to remind us, we'll always know contracts with suicides because he wasn't somebody who talked about it. So it was contractual.
You kind of
he wasn't somebody. Erik is saying that we can tell it's contractual because he never talked about it. If a person's contract includes suicide, they will never talk about it. We will never know that. So yes, Tony's was contractual.
Okay. What was your first impression of the afterlife? There you are. You're
Whoa, he goes. Whoa, dude. He's like, talk about psycho-fucking-delic.
Oh my God.
He said that it was better than any false high he could ever get.
Oh my God.
But actually, he's telling me that it was literally just a walking into a different building, he would say, almost like I'm just going to take the catwalk across and go into this building. And it's very similar to what we experience here, but not.
Okay.
What he does, but not. So
well, what's the first thing you saw?
He's saying I saw an archway into a building that was completely white. That had all glass windows all over it, but it was an archway like this, and it's almost like he's showing me that it was just literally, and I'm there, like, and he's standing there, and he's whole, and he's not hung, and he's just whole.
Okay.
But he's saying I went like this and I didn't have a body.
Okay.
Yeah.
That must have been weird.
Yeah. But he's saying that something like, he's saying you would think it's weird, and it sounds weird when I'm saying it to you, but it was normal.
Okay. Yeah.
So then he's saying after he went on to be there, he could conceptualize a body. He wasn't there very long before he was able to conceptualize his body.
Ah, I gotcha. All right,
Mm-hmm.
here's a quote of yours that a blog member is sharing. I respect people that practice as they preach, but hypocritical religious types make me angry. Do you still feel that way? And that religion is hypocritical? I don't know if we could be as
Absolutely.
generalizing. Yeah.
Absolutely, he says.
He probably said absolutely.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah, he said that'll never change. He said because religion is a man-made thing. That where he's saying the creator, and I've met him, the creator doesn't talk about religion. You don't have to go to a building. He's saying to find the creator.
Or read a book, a special book. Okay, tell us about your meeting with Source, God, the Creator. What was that like?
He's saying, he's like, what the fuck? I've shared dinner with the president. He's making a joke of it. He's saying it's just like meeting another energy. You're meeting, literally, he's saying, and Erik is like shaking his head, you're meeting your well.
Because we are all in part of God.
He's saying, listen, when you get here, you're going to see it's all about vibration, and we are all equally vibrational.
Okay.
And so meeting the creator was just like meeting a piece of yourself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you ever regret ending your life?
He's really thinking hard about this, but he's not coming up with any regret. He said,
"I spiritual contract." You probably
I did everything I wanted to do. I had everything I needed, and then some.
Okay.
He's saying, I guess the conventional answer could be, yeah, fuck it. I regret the drugs, but I don't.
Okay. What did you learn? What was the biggest thing you learned from all the faraway places that you visited that our current society should take away?
That every single nation has the ability to be peaceful. Every single nation has the ability to break bread if they choose to. Every single nation brings something unique to the table that should be savored and enjoyed with the company it's with.
Yeah, we ought to get this gigantic table and all sit around it all across the world and chow down.
Yeah.
One person is wondering if your taking your life had anything to do with a girlfriend that was cheating on you, or was there a girlfriend cheating on you?
He says no.
Okay.
No. He's saying I very much was in love with my girlfriend. I was very supportive, very protective of her, as was she of me. There was nothing to report there.
But was she cheating on you?
He says no.
Okay, good. So nobody else was involved in your death?
No.
Just you. All right. Do you harbor any secrets? Well, everybody has secrets, but do you have any secrets that you think if you elucidated would help us and grow in some way?
So do I have any secrets, he says. Do I have any secrets? I had a fetish with my toenails. I needed them cut and manicured at all times.
Oh, that's funny. That's
I'm
cute.
just a messenger. He's again, he's saying to me, the secret, it's not really a secret, but he's saying that he was surprised that everything basically is edible. I don't know why he's telling me.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that means, but everything is edible. Secrets. He's not coming up with anything.
Well, the toenail thing's a secret. It's fine. Well, it's not anymore. What was your favorite dish?
Oh.
Ew.
He's saying some sort of like balls that he ate.
Animal balls?
Animal balls.
Ew.
Testicles.
What kind? From what animal?
Sheep testicles, and I once ate the asshole out of a pig.
Oh, did you like that? Oh, that's awful. You're joking. You are joking, aren't you, Tony?
He says, no, I can't even catch my breath. He says,
oh my God.
He's got this face and he's like, it was the worst thing I ever ate. The asshole out of a hog.
Ew, that's gross.
But he's saying to some people it's a delicacy.
Oh, I hear that for cannibals, this area right between the thumb and the first finger is a delicacy.
Shall I try?
Wow.
I wish people could see his facial expressions the way that I'm seeing them.
Oh, you're so lucky.
He's contorted and Erik is like busting a gut over here. Like,
that's so funny. Yeah. All right, let's go on to something nicer. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
He's saying you're never going to believe this. Vanilla.
Oh, really? Oh my God, I would not. Any toppings? Any toppings?
No, he says I'm a straight vanilla kind of guy.
Okay.
And actually, I just want to show you, he's sitting back and he's very tall and very lanky and he's got his leg up on his other leg and he's just sitting back and he's got this long face, but it's covered in scruff and he's just very freaking chill. I mean, very chill.
I bet.
Yeah.
But little I know about.
Yeah.
Let's see. What was the first thing you ate on the other side and how did it taste?
Oh, he's saying I had a croissant. It was a French. He's saying because of my heritage, I looked for the French food. It was a croissant.
Oh, all right. That sounds good. I'm hungry now. And it tasted like a regular croissant, or did it have any special afterlife flavor to it?
He's saying it was beautiful and fluffy and melted on the tongue, and it was just a simple croissant, and I was so grateful for the taste.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, what do you do there now?
What's that? You broke up.
I'm sorry. What do you spend your time doing there now?
I'm learning how to be a better soul. What else?
That's good. Everybody is. But anything else?
I'm learning how to be a better soul, and I'm practicing healing parts of me. And he's also telling me he's calling home pieces of himself.
Oh.
So what does that mean? So he's showing me like a piece of Swiss cheese, like with all the holes in it. And he's saying, I'm the whole piece, but these holes are pieces of myself that I left on Earth. And I need to get them back.
Is that difficult?
He says, what the fuck? I still haven't done it.
Oh, so how do you do that?
Yeah.
Maybe you get help.
I'm very curious. I've never, He's saying you do it through, it's an extension of the review. You sit down and you watch different instances of your life, and you can acknowledge where you left it by watching. It's almost like seeing clips, movie clips of your life.
Yeah.
And when you know that there are movie clip, you see the movie clip where it's electrically charged, like where something's happening inside of you, that's a piece that needs to be reclaimed. And simply the idea is you just reclaim it and bring it back. But he says the biggest trick to this is realizing what needs to be reclaimed and what doesn't. And that's where
the hard part.
That's where the people come in, the energies come in, the guides, the council come in and help him do that.
Because look,
that's the first time I've ever heard that.
I never heard that. Look, if you can give me some GPS coordinates, I can go get them for you.
Yeah, he's saying, well, some of them were he's saying a lot of them were in 1972. It was a really fucked up time.
Oh boy. So was your suicide a spur of the moment decision, or did you plan it over a certain period of time?
I won't say spur of the moment, he says, but I won't say it was planned forever. It was something that I had been loosely thinking about for the last several months.
Okay.
Couldn't find an opportune time.
Okay. Now this comes up again. Does your suicide have anything to do with Asia Argento? I guess is your girlfriend. She was recently seen with a French photographer days before your suicide. So no. I mean, why was she with the French photographer? That doesn't mean she's having an affair with him, right?
No, she did. He's saying professionally, she was her own woman. She could be with anybody she wanted to be with. And he doesn't mean sexually, he's saying.
Yeah.
Why couldn't she be seen with a photographer? Why do people think everybody's fucking somebody when they're seen?
I know. What does all the red scarf and the doorknob mean? I don't have any idea what that is.
The red scarf on the doorknob?
And doorknob. I don't know. Maybe it is on a doorknob, but it says, what does all the red scarf, doorknob mean? No idea.
I don't know. I'm not getting anything.
Okay.
Eric's
right.
laughing though.
Let's see.
Eric says, I know what it means when the sock's on the doorknob.
Of course you do. Or a tie. Let's see. If so, what are all the glowing? I don't understand some of this. Of all the places you've been and the groups of people you've met, where and who was the most difficult to adjust to? And how did you grow or change in response to that challenge?
He's saying he always could fit in and adjust anywhere, but the most unique place was in the Middle East, and he's telling me he was actually there's a lot of explosion, he said, and a lot of stuff going on around him where he literally he says, I could have literally shit my pants. It was that close to me. He's saying, and that was a very eye-opening experience. And I began to really have a respect and an appreciation for my freedom.
Wow. All right. Any final messages? What about a message to your daughter? And then also a message to humanity.
So the message to my daughter is never say you don't like something without first trying it. That means food and experiences in life.
Okay. But not drugs.
Hell no.
All right. For humanity?
For humanity. When all else fails, share a meal with somebody and bond over food.
Oh, that's a good one. How about you, Eric? You have any questions for Tony?
Erik says they're going to have a jam session later. He's
Good.
telling me that they're going to, Tony's got the drums, the bongos, it looks like, and Erik's going to jam on the guitar, and they're just going to have a jam session. And Erik actually has hung out with him
Oh,
before, in a sense that, you know, Erik wasn't there when he came over, he says, but very quickly Erik's energy gravitated towards him.
it sounds similar. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a very direct connection there, Erik says.
That is cool. And Tony will bring the food, right? But no pig assholes.
No, Tony, no pig asshole.
Please. All right, well, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Erik, for bringing him. I really appreciate that. I love you, Erik. You guys, thank you so much to Veronica. You guys can check her out at www.veronicadrake.com, and I will put it here. Bye, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure you subscribe to the channel.
Bye, Mom.
Bye.